Welcome to Loco Gringo, Mexico, the place where we transform a tourist into a traveler, because you deserve to see more of the world than just what's in a guidebook. Each week, we talk with amazing locals who know the Riviera Maya and Yucatan like only a local can, and get them to share their tips and insights on the local scene, culture, and cuisine from a local's perspective. So, pour yourself a margarita, grab a comfy chair, and let's get the show going.
Hi everyone, this is Kay at Loco Gringo. I'm so glad to have you with me today. Well, we're going to be talking to a woman who is now in Playa del Carmen. She hails from Dallas, Texas, and in the early 1990s, she discovered the Riviera Maya after being in Cozumel. She has since made it her home, and she has some wonderful off-the-beaten-path places to share with us today, and more details about her story, which has taken her up and down the coastline here. So, I invite you to sit back, get comfortable, and also, just a reminder, check our show notes on our website at locogringo.com, because we're going to have contact information for her and the names of some of the great places that she mentions here in the show today. So, let's dive in. Hi, this is Kay at Loco Gringo. I'm super thrilled to have a friend of mine, Kendall Inman. Now, Kendall first met her. She built a house in the Akumal area. Akumal is just located about 15-20 minutes north of Tulum in the Riviera Maya. And Kendall has gone from building a house to building a complete new life and lifestyle in Playa del Carmen. Hey, Kendall, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Kendall, I know a bit about your story, but why don't you share with everybody who's listening how did you end up, I know you came from Dallas. How did you come from the Lone Star State to end up in Playa del Carmen? I mean, first you're in Akumal and then Playa. How did you get to Mexico?
That's so cute, because I was actually reflecting this morning, in preparation for our conversation today. So, I came to Dallas from California. I worked for Donna Karan. I was in the rag trade. They moved me here, and I lived in Marina del Rey, and I've always loved water, the beach. I grew up loving Mexico, actually. I grew up, in the coast of Mexico, traveling down to Ensenada and Rosarita Beach and having, lobster tacos on the water there, doing bike rides. There's a Rosarita Ensenada bike race. It's like 50 miles, and I participated in that. And I had this grandmother, so I know it's genetic. This love of Mexico is genetic, because I had this grandmother. She was Australian. She came across literally in a Titanic-type ship. It took 6 weeks. She came to America on one of these big boats, and she missed the culture of, living in Australia and meeting all kinds of different people. So she started heading down to Mexico. So I had, this incredible foundation of love for it. My first trip out of the country was when I graduated college. I bought myself a trip to Puerto Vallarta. Fell madly in love with the food, the people, the water. So I find myself all of a sudden in Texas, transferred, by my company. It's flat. There's no water, and I started, I was like, I couldn't believe it, because I didn't do my research, I wasn't, geography wasn't my strong point. I get to Texas and I'm like, oh my God, how did I end up here? So I was working for Donna Karan, and I was going down. There were some real big high-end boutiques and department stores on the border, Laredo, McAllen, and I was down there doing a trunk show one time, and I was dating my soon-to-be husband at the time, and he says, bring me back a prize. And I said, I was hanging out with a bunch of people, and I said something about loving Mexico, and they go, well, you've got to go to Cozumel. And I literally bought one of those, this is 20-something years ago, or no, more than that. And I literally, maybe 1993. So I buy one of those really cheap trips to Cozumel, and I fell madly in love with the water and, the air and the whole vibe. And Cozumel was so teeny and untouched at that time, and the little fish, incredible fish places to eat.
What year was?
I don't even remember the names of them.
What year was that, Kendall? That was in 93, okay.
It had to be 93. I'm trying to remember, okay, because it's been a long time. I'm thinking it was 93. So then we went back again to Cozumel. We brought my my husband's kids. Then we wanted to branch out. So we went to Cancun, and it was a little busy and big for us. And so we wanted to go again. And we ended up in Puerto Morelos, and had like a really good. And that was '95. By then that was '95, like spring of '95. Ended up in little. I don't remember the name of the hotel. It was small, boutique-ish, and had a great time. And then we're going back again. Because remember, my drive is to get back to water. I'm in Dallas. I'm like, I got to be near the ocean. So, and I'm in love with this area by now. So I had a friend I worked with at Donna Karen, and, I've lost touch with her, but they were in some kind of business where they were, I don't know, they were representing some boutique hotels and whatever. So they were like, you need to, and I'd heard about Playa. So I was like, okay, let's book a trip to Playa. Well, this was before, internet searches, and really, I don't even think much email and stuff was going, nothing like that. So I don't know, I couldn't find anything in Playa. And then my friend said, you would love Akumal. So I ended up in Akumal. It was 98 because I was pregnant with Jake, and it was February, and it was Valentine's weekend, and it was so magical. And I arrived, and I remember being in my bikini thinking I looked really cute, pregnant. I really was just fat at that point, but everyone I met in that little town, it really was serendipitous. It was like one of those things that was meant to be. Because I remember meeting Cy Wiener and in the square there, in the little area, and it was sleepy little teen. There was no one there at the time. I remember meeting him, and he's like, hey, I'm an OBGYN. If you ever have any complications, let me know. In fact, I want to bring you home and introduce you to my wife. And we literally go to their little house that they built. It wasn't on the water at that time. They ended up building a bigger one.
Well, that the house that they built was the house that we bought years after. When they left, when they built on the water, then we bought that house.
Yeah. Okay. I did not know that. Okay. But The little house they had before then, we go over there, and we made lifelong friends in that weekend, because I ended up staying in that little house. I ended up using their architect, Enrique Alcaraz, an amazing architect. So what happened though is, so we meet them, and then we end up at this art showing where like Vince Welnick, who's like the keyboard player of the Grateful Dead, is playing a little small concert. Apparently he had a house on the, Yakul at the time. And we meet all these people. And I don't know if you remember the bakery with like Sydney and Thomas. We meet them. And I think she was pregnant at the same time. I ate every meal there. We stayed at a little teeny tiny baby hotel, like so teeny, right next to Buena Vida. And so we get totally romanced, and I'm like ready to move there. I want to have an alternative lifestyle. I want to raise my new baby that's coming, on board. And so our friend said, well, if you want to be there, you want to be in South Akumal. That's the place to be. If you've got the money, that's where you want to be. And I really wanted to be in some little sandy because, North Akumal is a little bit more coral reef and stuff like that. Still exquisite and beautiful. So we drive down to South Akumal. We go in there. We drive up and down. There's at that time, there's like one double lot that has, I don't even think it had a for sale sign on it. And then there was, towards the entrance, there was what I'd call a duplex, like a top and bottom unit that was for sale. And it was for sale. So we take a look at it. And, in retrospect, it would have been a phenomenal investment. And but I was thinking, I don't want my family separated, because it was like two different homes on top of each other. The view is spectacular. But we meet the owner, and this is crazy. And I'm not the risk taker, which is so funny. And we meet the owner, and she, we decide we don't really want to buy that house. But she says there's one double lot for sale. She said, why don't we buy it together? I want to build a new house. You can build your house. And I kid you not, we made a partnership with a complete stranger, and we bought this double lot and split it. And then, we come back to Dallas, and this is 98, and I was too pregnant to go to the closing. So my ex-husband goes down there, and he said, God, you're just like wiring money into an abyss. And you're like, is this the right thing to do? He said he went down to the shore. He went down to the shore, and he sits there, and he like prays and meditates. He's like, and I'm freaking out back in Dallas, right? I'm not the risk taker, and we're about to wire all this money. And I say, he said he prays, he just asks God, if I'm not supposed to do this, just tell me. And, it was like, no, I'm supposed to do it. So and it's interesting because then I had Jake in May of '98, and then by summer, my son had his first trip to Akumal in August, and it's the first and only night he slept through the night, like that whole year. That he slept like a baby, and we stayed in that little bitty house of Cy and Diana's that was kind of like jungly. It was just off a couple streets off of the coast there in North Akumal, and we stayed there and actually, I mean, one of the maids that babysat Jake so we could meet with, I interviewed several architects. I was trying to reach Enrique Alcaraz, and he was funny. He wasn't taking me seriously, but he didn't know I already had a lot. And I'd heard that permits were going to be really hard to get, and they ended up being hard to get for a few more years. And concrete prices were really soaring, so I felt super motivated to build and protect our investment. Like, that was my thing. Plus, I wanted my beach house, right? So we, and that was a guy, I can't remember, anyway, it's been too long, so many years, but I met, Enrique and I designed the most beautiful home, and I'm telling you, that house, it's still there. It made it through 2 Category 5 hurricanes. It was absolutely amazing. It was so well built, and it was funny when it was building. I was remembering the story today, when we were building it. So I head down there. Again, I'm nursing a baby. I've got stepkids. I think one or two of them were in tow. I get down there, and I used to rent like an apartment or a little condo at the Seven Seas. So I could be right next door to the building. Get down there, and I had traveled to California and took a lot of photos to try to find a great house that could be. They do a really good job in California of building a lot of home on a small lot that's long and skinny. That lot that I built on was really long and skinny. So I had a bunch of pictures, and I found this roof that I wanted. It was like kind of messy, sort of, I guess it would look like a little Italian, Tuscan kind of, and they had a lot of concrete, and I wanted to stack the tiles, and so I get down there, and these guys they don't understand it, and it looks like they're painting the tiles like graffiti, and they're perfectly lined up with like no messiness, no nothing. And I spent my first 2 days trying to find the contractor. I couldn't find him. So next thing you know, I'm on the roof. Like, I get a Spanish-English dictionary, I kid you not, and I learn the right words I need to know. And I'm like, alto, you have to stop, And so I literally, with photos, because this was before like even camera phones, right? I must have had copy photos. And I'm taught these guys how to build that roof. And if that roof was so well built, it made it through 2 Category 5 hurricanes and lost 1 tile. That's how.
Great.
And it still looks great. So anyway, that house provided a lot of wonderful, incredible memories. I guess we had it like 8 years, and made really fast friends with the people that bought that original place that I looked at, Tyrion Jizu. They're still really our best, really close friends. They were just celebrating with us in Playa. We made lifelong friends. We really, they are so beautiful. Jake just graduated, my son, and we were down for like a month in June, and like our friends there had a big party for him to celebrate his graduation and his acceptance to Fordham University. And, all those people came, like our carpenter, my caretakers that used to live in the casita. I don't know if you ever met Gladys San Francisco, 2 of the finest human beings in the world.
I know them.
I know, and they've invited us to piñata parties in Chimoyil, and they came up for the party, They stopped at Liverpool, and they bought Jake a tie.
Aw.
I mean, a beautiful tie. These are really, really, really world-class people. Our carpenter came to Jake's graduation party. It was really great. So anyway, sadly, I went through my divorce, and I could have, I look back, I could have probably kept the house, but it would have been all I got. And I was a little nervous about those 2 hurricanes that came through, even though no damage. I mean, we had a little bit of floor damage, but nothing major. And I was kind of a little bit afraid for, all my eggs in one basket. And so sadly, it was really, it's actually still sad. I saw my grandkids there, I saw like I'd have this forever, but we sold it, and we did well because we sold it right before the bottom dropped out. And then they were giving away places, for a while, because you remember when it was like the end of 2007, 2008, like the stock market crashed, the swine flu, which really never hit. I mean, it was just ridiculousness. I've watched so much weird stuff like that happen down there, and everybody gets scared. So anyway, but I still wanted to be there. So there just wasn't a condo or anything available at the time for me to buy. So that's why I went into Playa. And so 10 years ago, I bought a condo on La Quinta, so on 5th. And what's fascinating is there was almost nothing north of me. And now, there was...
And that was where north and what? North and 38th or north and...
Yeah. Well, I'm at La Quinta and 22nd. You know the old Yache restaurant? I'm above there on the back end. And
okay.
I definitely, I ended up buying another condo, which, by the way, I'd like to sell. It's been a wonderful little rental property. It's right over there by Dax, like the greatest little fruit market and cheese and nuts and little cafe and the Mega. But I've been renting it for about 10 years, really successsually. I actually stayed there quite a lot because the first 2 years I bought my apartment on 5th on La Quinta. I rented it like I had 1 year rental and then another 1 year rental. And it made sense. I didn't know how much I could come back with Jake and everything in school. And so we would just stay in that small.
And at that time, there was nothing. Apartment. There really wasn't anything north of there. Now, the Quinta goes on.
There was nothing. Well, there was nothing available. So, but it's interesting. I bought right in a way because I bought both of those places I have in Playa are penthouses. They're both extremely big. They're really well appointed. They have big closets, big terraces. They're really lovely. Where a lot of the new construction there is, it's real teeny. And so if you need to live there, these places are really like set up for that. Everyone that ever rents my places, they fall in love and they want to buy them. But, they're cozy, they're comfortable. My place on 5th has 3 terraces. It has a rooftop terrace that's like the W Hotel.
Wow.
It's really, sadly, I will say this. It had ocean views, but, 2 giant hotels who broke rules, by the way, went up 5 stories and took my view. It's sad. It's sad what they did. And they just got to pay off everybody. That's why they got away with it. But I still absolutely love, because where I am positioned in that 5th Avenue apartment, I'm on the back end. So I can be on 5th. It can be really loud and crazy. But I get up in my apartment. It's really peaceful and quiet and beautiful. But yet I don't ever feel alone. I can just walk down the stairs and I can go to like a fantastic, little coffee place called Akumal. Like it's locally owned. It's not a big chain. They have the most amazing coffee and chocolate. And, I got a lot of access to really neat, wonderful things just right there. Some of the best food, finest food in the world,
Now, did you go to Playa with just to retire, or did you go with intention to start? I know that you're a yoga instructor. Was that the mission? Did you have the plans to say, I'm gonna focus on my yoga practice and teach and that, or was that just did that just kind of develop on its own?
Well, the yoga really was inspired. Well, after having, Jake and sort of being in a challenging marriage, that's really what brought me to the yoga mat, was to try to find, a place to just get steady and peaceful. I'd built that house and, raised this, had this new baby. And so that's what really brought me to yoga. But when I was going to my house in Akumal, I would search for yoga, and I found incredible yoga. And, I took yoga every day when I was there. I don't know where she is anymore. One lovely yoga teacher, June. Do you remember June?
June Pisano.
She lived in Tonka.
Yeah, she's still around.
So I take yoga every day with her. I taught in that little studio. And then going to some retreats, like just as a day kind of participant. I met some world-class teachers, and that's what really inspired my business to start hosting yoga events and yoga retreats. When I moved to Playa, I just wanted to give my son a different perspective and a different life. So when we vacationed there for all these 20-something years, but we were residents of there, and I'm a legal resident now, but we were residents there for several years. Jake went to school at Tepeyac, and what's so wonderful is my son is completely bilingual. Sadly, I thought I kind of was a little bit, because remember I bought that little Spanish-English dictionary, and I was like learning all the words I needed to learn to build that house. And I can get anything done in construction, cleaning, cooking, yoga, but he's like, Mom, no, you don't got it. And he's like, he has the nuances, from going to school there and playing soccer and, being a resident there. So when I was living there, I could run my business really, from the internet. So I didn't retire. And I had multiple retreats. I love to bring groups. It's actually one of my most favorite things to do is bring groups to Mexico, do a little bit of yoga, but show them all the little beautiful spots that you don't necessarily know about. I've taken people that live there to places that they didn't know were there, and shared experiences with them because of, my adventuresome spirit, and I love to just get off the beaten path a little bit. One of my things I say in my retreats is be in the heart of everything, but get off the beaten path, And I rent, when I have my retreats there, I rent a little boutique hotel usually, and, so they're in the heart of everything, and yet, we get off we go find the little great taqueria.
Awesome. No, it's great.
It's not that everybody doesn't know about and all that stuff. Yeah.
Now, I have a question.
I've done some crazy stuff down there. Yeah. Go ahead.
What's the craziest thing that you've done down there? I have to ask because, now that you brought it up.
Well, I mean, I guess not that crazy. Just, like driving down side streets trying to find a high chair and, like learning the word for high chair and, going like into the Ejido looking for parts and, because, I've remodeled and I bought one of my apartments I bought was in construction. I built a house down there, finding replacement tiles and just that kind of crazy stuff, I guess. I mean, just being sort of a woman on her own with not 100% command of the language. I feel like it's really empowered me and really liberated me to be able to do something like I've done down there. And I just had a little family reunion in June, and my uncle, my aunt, and my cousins, like we had 12 of us, and they fell madly in love with all of it. It was really special, to be able to share that with them. And like they couldn't believe, what we'd accomplished, or what I'd accomplished, and being down there. But the places I know and where to go and what to do and how to get things done. You remember the old days? Do you remember when there was one gas station in Playa and one in Tulum, and if you forgot to get gas, you had to siphon your neighbor's gas?
Yes.
Or
you see, the little gas light goes on and you're going, oh man, can I make it? Can I make it? And you limp your way to the gas station. Yeah. I remember those days. Now you go down, now there's a gas station almost on every corner in at least Tulum and Playa.
I know I'm dating myself. It blows my mind. But also if you remember, like, we had a sign in our window for 1 year to get dial-up internet, but we finally got it. And that's back then we faxed. I borrowed my friend's fax, my neighbor's fax, when, we needed something, and we would fax the information. It was funny.
No, I mean, it's funny because we joke about those types of things. I mean, I remember we paid $1,500 for our first phone line for Loco Gringo, and still today, it's hard to get a phone line. I know our office, for example, we had 3 days of no electricity in the last 2 weeks. So there's some things that, we're very hip and modern and all that, but there's still some nuances, some of those things that may be considered romantic until the novelty wears off when the electric goes out or you don't have internet.
Yeah, you're trying to run a business. You know what? But I like all that. There's something about all of that keeps me connected. I had a leak. Right before I came back to Dallas in my apartment, and I was like, what? But the thing is, it was so easy to get the people in there to fix it. And, that isn't like that here. But yeah, and we opened up the wall and we found out, the pipe was probably never the right one to begin with, but we changed it out. And yeah, of course. But it's a hassle, but then there's all those conveniences too of being able to get a tile person out there and, get it right and whatever you need to do. Yeah, I was down there. My internet went out for a few days, but I really liked being disconnected. It was kind of nice.
I love being disconnected at times. And the one thing I found with people once telephones and internet kind of became a little more prevalent, is, I used to go, if I wanted to go see a girlfriend, I would go to her house. She wasn't there. I left a note on the door. Hi, came by to see you.
I know. It's
sad.
So
now we don't even see each other. We might call or send an email occasionally, but I really enjoyed, and I think that's one of the things that being so connected in this virtual world is that we miss is that knocking at the door. Hey, do you have a cup of sugar? Or hi, can I stop in for a cup of coffee? Or how are you doing? Those types of things. It's what helps build those relationships that we have.
I know.
Is because communication. We all people went to happy hour because that was where you got the news. There was no.
I know.
We weren't reading USA Today online. We went. We ran into people and you had conversations because you wanted to know what they heard. And I think it's been wonderful in regards to the fact that a lot of the people I know that I've met over the years, we still manage to stay in touch, and it's been one of the treats. And even just talking with you, it's been a treat for me to talk to people who, because I'm not stopping by their house, or our paths don't cross as often as they used to because we've become very busy. And so it's very nice to now reconnect with people and dig a little deeper and say, hey, I want to hear about your story. I want to know what you're doing. And I think that's one of the things that's inspired me to do this podcast, is to talk to people such as yourself and a lot of other people, because there's just incredible stories and incredible talent in the Riviera Maya and Yucatan, and it gets lost amongst busyness, amongst the rapid growth and everything. And I want people who are interested in coming to the area to understand that there's some amazing people here. There's some amazing things to do. And it's been great to share all that with people.
Yeah. And, my uncle was like, how many times have you done this excursion? I said, God, I don't know, dozens. I don't get tired of it. It's so beautiful to me. I feel so good in the tropical climate. Like, for me, it just matches my constitution. It just brings out the best in me. And I love the freshness of food. I mean, we don't have GMO in Mexico. I mean, you get a beautiful tomato or a papaya or a mango or a banana, and it really tastes like
a banana.
All those things are supposed to taste like. My uncle was blown away at the limes. He was like, where am I going to find these? I said, well, try to find your local, maybe your local Mexican market or Asian market, because he's from Baltimore. And he said, I'm in love with limes. I want to put them on everything. And I would make this great limeade, I make these big jugs of fresh limeade and watermelon water. And, they're like, oh my God, they're addicted. And it just tastes so good. And you can just, a half a lime will cover anything. I just bought limes here in Dallas. It's like 10 limes to get the same juice, maybe, and 2 limes in Mexico.
Yeah, it's hard to find good fruit up in states.
Yeah. So we just have access to amazing food. And then, of course, if you want to, go out and splurge, we've got some nice, culinary people, chefs showing up, and we've got some really, pretty good food to be had. Also, one of my most favorite restaurants in the entire world is Carlos's right there in Akumal.
Cueva de Pesca.
Oh my God, the food's amazing. I was there 3 times. I was there 3 times because of the langostinos, the mini lobsters.
Yep.
When my mom used to come down to Akumal, she would stay. She would come for about a week, 10 days. She would just live in a hammock. My caretakers would, I taught them to make these great salads. Now, of course, they're known for the salads, so that when they have their own fiestas, Francisco has to bring their salad. But taught them to make these incredible salads, and we would have these great salads. And then almost every night, my mom would go, can we go to Carlos's for mini lobsters? I just can't get these anywhere else. I took my uncle there twice when they were there for 9 days or 8 days, and they wanted to go back. I ate there at least 3 or 4 times, when I was there for the month. It's amazing. It's amazing food. And, it's just simple. Your feet are in the sand.
It's still pretty reasonably priced. And for everybody who's listening and we talk about Carlos, is Carlos is the owner, but it's Cueva de Pescador, which is after you go through the archway in Akumal. It's going to be as you go around the road to the left. It's going to be right there. Incredible. I mean, some of the best fish, great ceviches, salads, and you know what you get if you order a cocktail, kind of old school Mexico.
You get a real cocktail. You get a real cocktail. Okay,
Yeah.
So I like to sip tequila, good quality tequila, and I'm friends with Ollie, who's the son of Carlos, and a great fisherman, by the way, took out my family and friends on 2 trips. Oh my God, they can't stop talking about it. They caught a giant wahoo that Carlos the restaurant cooked it for him for lunch. They brought home steaks. I made the most amazing wahoo fish tacos with the steaks. I mean, it was just an amazing trip. But I go down there and I'm having a drink, and I get a tequila. Actually, my favorite drink is called a bandera, which is it's the Mexican flag, and so it's 1 shot of tequila, 1 shot of lime juice, and 1 shot of sangrita, which is not alcoholic. Kind of has a little spicy, tomato-y. It's incredible. So I order one, and I get the shot of tequila, and it's like a double of anywhere else I've ever get one. And especially in Playa, where the portions in some of the places are less. But yeah, it's still old-fashioned. Quality, quantity, but not overdone. Just the right. They just do it right. Yeah, I love that sweet spot.
No, it is definitely a sweet spot. Now, you've traveled since you started off when you were younger, and you've been down the Pacific Coast, Ensenada, and that. Do you still, even though you live in the Riviera Maya, I mean, do you still have a love for some of the other areas in Mexico, or do you have one that you'd say, man, I'd really like to go back to that destination in Mexico? Or is the Riviera Maya, is that that's it? That's your love and your passion?
Well, it's a combo. First and foremost, I have traveled to the Bahamas, St. Thomas, St. Bart's, the south of France, the south of Italy, the Pacific, the Gulf, and I mean, really and truly, I think that we have the prettiest beaches in the world, and definitely the prettiest water. Now, I haven't been to Australia, even though I have heritage there, and I haven't been to Fiji. I'd love to do that someday. But I just think of all the beaches I've been traveling for 30 years, and I love our beaches. But I also really love Mexican culture. So I have taken my son to Mexico City, and I went the year before, and then I had to take him back. And I mean, what an amazing city, and amazing food, and amazing people. And I mean, they have a castle. They have one of the finest archaeological museums I've ever seen.
Awesome museum, churros. Yeah.
Oh my God, that museum! I mean, that museum is amazing.
It is.
They have a solid jade mask, like that from the Mayans. I mean, it's so beautiful. And like Coyoacan. Just the coffee there, the churros, really the best churros I've ever eaten. Then I love, anyway, I love going there. When my son was going to school down there, he played soccer. He went to Guadalajara. I've been also, love Guadalajara, love Puebla. So I've been to San Miguel. I've only been once. I did love it. I have friends that rent a house there. I'd love to go back, and, the weather's amazing there.
I love San Miguel.
I don't have a lot of, only one experience there. Actually, met a friend in Akumal that had a ranch there and invited me, and we went and stayed there and had a nice little experience many years ago. So I'd like to go back. But the thing is, I'm just so in love with the Mayan Riviera. I keep going back, I keep going back. So obviously, I'm going to live there, full-time, permanently.
Oh, hey, I get it. I've got 25 years here, so, I get it.
I try other places. I do. But to me, like when I go there, like it's home. I know so many people for so many years. Just to give you an example, when my uncle was visiting, we had plans for a sunny day, but it ended up raining, right? So I said, well, let's just get in the car anyway. I wanted to take them to a cenote, one of my favorites. And I like it better when it's sunny. So I said, well, we'll drive that way. Let's just explore a little bit. Get in the car. So we drive down, and my uncle said, I'd love to see your old house that you built. So I said, okay, let's go. So we went in, and then we decided that we had seen Thierry and Jisoo like at Jake's graduation party the week before. So we just called them really quick, like, we're outside. They're like, come on in. So we go in. We have a wonderful little visit with them, and then it started to clear up a little bit. But I said, well, let's stop for lunch. So we stopped for lunch in Akumal at Carlos's, and then cleared up enough to hit the cenote. So we went to the cenote. And
which cenote? Which cenote did you take them to?
I like Jardín del Edén.
Okay.
Otherwise, the Garden of Eden. Yeah, I love it. I guess I like it for many reasons. One is it's set way back, and you end up, the drive in is spectacular. In fact, when we were driving in, it's canopied with these, I think they're called flamboyant trees. They only bloom once a year. Those beautiful bright orange trees.
Yep, flamboyant.
Flamboyant. I knew I was pronouncing it wrong. They are so exquisite. My friend took a photo of that entrance and blew it up and has it on her wall in her kitchen. You drive through that, you can see, we saw Cudamundi. I guess you guys call it coatis. No, they're not called coatis. They're tejon. Those wonderful little, with the big long tail. So my uncle got to see that, and my aunt got to see that. And then, giant iguanas up and down and birds, and, it's just beautiful. And you go back in there and it's just crystal clear, wonderful water. And then they have it, it's kind of fun for everyone because you can just float in the water. I always bring some kind of floaty thing, and there's divers going in, and which is kind of cool, where they come from, they just bubble up, and then you can jump off the edge there, which is really fun for, actually everyone jumped off it. My uncle even, he's 68, I think 69, he jumped off it. It was really fun. So that's my favorite. I can't remember why I got off on this story. But.
No, but you're taking, I don't know. So it was a rainy day and you wanted to take your uncle out to see a cenote.
Yeah. And I've been there so many times, but I just love it every time.
So give me a couple other favorites, Kendall. Some of those places that you would recommend. We've got people who are listening who are going to come down to the area that they really need to see this because it'll really enhance their visit and give them a little more insight to the world that we live in and the beauty of the Riviera Maya. What do you got?
All right. Well, one of my favorites, and I always take my family visiting or friends or my groups. When I bring my big groups down there, I always bring them, and they are always blown away. And it's a simple little thing, but we go down to Muyil, but probably not the Muyil that you're going to see if you search it on the internet. It's about 20 kilometers south of Tulum from the highway, and there's a little entrance. It's not the main entrance. And we go down there, and there's this little Mayan guy and his family. His name's Candido. And I've known him for years. Maybe 10 years.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I call him in advance to tell him how many people I'm bringing. He's so sweet, and he or his sons take us out on these boats. We cross this giant lagoon, the Sian Khan, and then we go down these little canals, and you feel like Robinson Crusoe. You really feel like an explorer. You don't usually see very many people. I don't, usually. I don't go on a weekend also. Maybe I think I took everybody on maybe Friday this last time. And so we go, and then, you get out of the boats and you get to see what they call, it was like a customs declaration, a little Mayan ruin, apparently, that they call it Aduana, I guess. Anyway, you get to go in, so you get to actually walk into a ruin and see it. And then you float. And this time of year, all the orchids and the bromeliads are in bloom. So it's just magical. And then you float on your life vest. You put it on kind of upside down like a diaper, and you just sit in it. And every age, my cousins were really worried about their 1-year-old. I was like, no, he's going to be fine. And we put him in the life vest. that kid never stopped smiling the entire float. He was calm and at ease. I've taken really, really much older people. I've taken a few people that stayed in the boat, which is fine. And you float of course they wanted to float longer. My family was like, can we do it again? Can we do it again? And you float, 30, 45 minutes. The whole thing takes a little less than 2 hours. And then you can either take the boat back or you can walk this kind of, I guess it's about 1 kilometer, I think, little walk through what's like Serengeti grass, And the water is so pure and so clear. I tell everybody, if you go in, it'll take years off your life. It's filled with vitality. And I mean, it's unbelievable how you feel afterwards. And then if I'm doing a yoga retreat, you know, we get out and everybody has a little homemade banana bread and some chai tea that I've carted down there for us. The water's kind of chilly, so a little warm up if we need it. And then I always love to end up at La Zebra in Tulum. I love that spot. Love, love, love that spot. It's changed. It's transformed a few times over the years. But the last few times I've been, I've been, you know, really pleased with it. It's really beautiful.
No, it's certainly a beautiful place. I know the Zebra, they just had a fire not too long ago, but I know they were rebuilding, and I know the bar was back open.
Yeah, no, and if you didn't know it, you would never know there was a fire. Yeah, but they did a really good job of rebuilding it. It's funny, though. They went through a little weird thing for a while, and I'll share the story. So I've been bringing my groups there for years and years, and we end the evening with, like, a cocktail. Like, they make the best mojitos. They have that old-fashioned sugarcane press, so they're squeezing the sugarcane juice to make your cocktail, and everyone is just blown away, or, you know, fresh juices and waters, and it's wonderful. And then we'd have this dinner, and I mean, the stargazing down there, and they have salsa lessons. So I always, even though they're usually Sunday is salsa, I would hire the salsa teacher. You know, we end the night with salsa dancing on the beach. It's spectacular. So I don't know, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was bringing another group down. I always go check everything out beforehand, right? I mean, just to make sure nothing's changed, nothing's closed or whatever. I go down there and I walk in, and Lena, who I've loved for years, was like running it. She's left to open a cooking school, which I'm dying to go try. Oh, wow. But anyway, and let's do it. When next time I'm down there, let's get a group. I mean, she's brilliant. She's the one that made all the famous pineapple salsas and all the really wonderful, I really think it was her input, and greatest wedding planner ever. So anyway, I walk in and, like, she's gone, and I meet the new manager, and he's like all excited, and he goes, "Oh my God." And I introduced myself, and he's like, "Oh, I've heard all about you and everything." He said, "We have this famous chef from America that's come." And I'm like that was exciting news. Well, it wasn't for me. And so I get there and I order food, and I order a bunch of things because I got to try everything if I'm bringing my group down there. It was so disappointing. I mean, I was so disappointed. So I sorry, I got distracted for a second. My other phone was ringing. Anyway, so I write Lena, and I just tell her, I'm like, I am so sad, but I'm not bringing my group there. Food's terrible. And it was like this plate of nachos. It was just like with everything in the world on there. So she forwarded the email to the guy, and he wrote me back, and he said that they would do anything I wanted. And so I gave them a shot. And anyway, they don't have that. They're right back to their wonderful ways. And I brought my group there, and it was fantastic. And I got to have the salsas that I love and everything. So they obviously learned their lesson, because they went back to their old wonderful little ways of the beautiful salsas and the shrimp tacos and the great food, you know, the local flavors.
Oh man, you're making me hungry here, Kendall.
I know. Well, that's my favorite little outing, if you know, in a nutshell. I could change your life with that outing.
Well, I'm going to have to go on an outing, and I definitely think, let's organize and we'll get a class together, do some cooking school, that stuff. That would be super fun.
Oh, yeah, and I looked into it. I just wasn't, my group was, the last time I brought a group down, because she just opened maybe in the last year, and she's in Tulum. I wanted to bring my group, but I just didn't have enough days to do it, and I'd already kind of planned everything, but it's on my bucket list for sure, like to do it soon, because her stuff's amazing. We'll learn a lot of fun stuff. We'll have a great meal. It'll be a lot of fun. So
Awesome.
It'll be well done.
Well, Kendall, tell us, how can people get in touch with you, find you, go on a retreat with you, and get that one-on-one experience with some of these great things that you've talked about? What's the best way to reach you?
Well, right now, probably by email. So my email is kendallinman@gmail.com. And I will, that's probably the best way right now. As I transition into more full-time in out of Dallas, into Mexico, I will be posting more. I'll get my website more updated. I hope to be doing diet and lifestyle counseling at the Brick Hotel in Playa. They have a beautiful little spa, little hidden gem.
It's a
not
great
a lot of
spa.
people know about. Yeah, I mean, fantastic. And I did a talk for them when I was there the last time. They do wellness talks every month, and they're free, and they're really fun. And so I did a little wellness talk, and so I hope I'll be seeing clients there. And not sure how much yoga teaching I'll be doing. I really do want to teach more and more. And I'm also I'm a kind of a self-made chef, an Ayurvedic chef, so to speak. And Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga, and it really looks at spices and maximizing digestion. So what I really want to do too is I want to make my spice mixes, make some of my products, and start popping in at some of our wonderful. Playa has a lot of little wonderful local, like Tuesday market, Friday market, where locals are making, and most of it really is expats actually, but they're from all over the world. So you can get great bread, and you can get, someone makes great, pastries, and someone makes great salsas. Well, I make great like guava chutneys and spice mixes, and so I want to, and chai tea and things like that. So I kind of want to do that with my good friend Ellen DeYoung. We're brainstorming right now on starting this business together.
Excellent. Wow. Well, I invite you really, when you've got classes going on at the Brick Hotel and the Brick Spa, we work with Brick as well. They're great folks. Send us that information. We'll make sure we share it with all of our people here at Loco Gringo. And if you guys are going out to any of the markets and all that, or you get your product line going and, you have some information, we'd love to put it on our blog and share it with everybody who, wants to have a great time here in the Riviera Maya.
Yeah, and I love to cook, so I have a lot of recipes. Maybe I can give you some recipes sometime.
Oh, would love that.
Yeah, because it's challenging sometimes, but I've learned what spices and what we can find and what's available in Mexico and Playa, so I'll get you those too. It'll be really fun to post some of those.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We have a lot of foodies out there, and so you've got recipes. We'd love to share them all across social media, and I'm sure my staff would love to. We'll have to cook something up in the staff office, and have a nice little special lunch or something like that. So that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. So, well, Kendall, thanks so much for your time today. Great catching up with you. And when we're both here in the Riviera Maya, please let's get together. If we aren't at a cooking class together or hitting the mat, then let's share a tequila. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so have a great weekend. Thanks again for the opportunity, Kay. Hey, my pleasure. Take care, Kendalls. Thank you. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed listening to Kendall with her tales from the coast here in the Riviera Maya. I invite you to visit our website, locogringo.com. And if you go to locogringo.com/podcasts, you'll see Kendall's interview there, and there'll be some show notes with contact information and other details about some of the places we talked about today. Well, until next week, I hope you have a good one. Hasta la vista. And hey, if you're going to come down to the Riviera Maya, check out the website, contact us anytime. We're happy to help make your trip extra special. Thanks so much. Adios.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. For links, show notes, and more information, head on over to locogringo.com or give us a call toll-free at 800-478-0081.
Porque se tragó la luna, estaba enferma la rana. Su madre soba que soba, dedos de pluma la panza. Pensó ranita que luna era una toronja blanca. Y aunque la luna es de leche, la leche estaba cortada. Croa, croa, dedos de pluma. Croa, croa, dedos de agua. Croa,